Hey y'all, I'm Aeon.
And I'm the Lioness.
And you're listening to Box number 512 Podcast.
Grown Black Trans Woman Talk. Changing your world one conversation at a time.
The show begins now. Welcome to another installment of Box number 512 Podcast, Grown Black Trans Women Talk. I am one of your co-hosts, Aeon.
And I'm the Lioness.
Before we get started with updates, definitely I've been meaning to do this the past couple of episodes, but things have been, they haven't been hectic. I have been on vacation, so by the time we record, I've been tired and I just haven't felt like doing it, but we're going to do it now because May is about to be over and we're about to be in a whole new month. So I'm going to give a shout out to all of our patrons for the month of May. Shout out to Dominique. Shout out to Lee Player, my cousin. Shout out to Ann Mitchell. Shout out to Tamara. Shout out to Ashley Coleman. Shout out to Quinn Winstead. Shout out to Angelo Keys. Shout out to Alani. Shout out to Alexandra Erica Carter. Shout out to Mateo. We had them on the show. Shout out to Jada Amina Harvey. Shout out to Kim Oliver. Shout out to Keita. Shout out to Safari. Shout out to Muteba. Shout out to Tea with Queen and Jay. Shout out to your line sister and soror, Naomi. Shout out to Marique Jensen. Shout out to Belen. Shout out to Destiny. Shout out to All About D. Shout out to Abby. Shout out to Sean Henson. Shout out to Preston Carter. Hey, boo. Shout out to Maddie Wyland. Shout out to Oyen. Shout out to Carrie A. Shout out to Lai Lafayette. Shout out to Devin Harris. Shout out to I Am Kevin Wendell. And last but not least, shout out to Reggie. Those are all of our patrons for the month of May. If you would like to become a patron, go on over to our Patreon page. You can become a patron for as little as $5 a month. We have a whole bunch of stuff coming up this summer. We announced it last week on the show. We are starting our Box number 512 Summer Book Club, which will begin in the month of June. Our first book that we are reading is Revelations by Bevy Smith. We will follow that by having, let me pull it up now, we will be having our first group speak back on the book, talking about what we got from the Revelations book and just having a community conversation exclusively on Patreon for our level 3 patrons. So you have to pay $10 to be a level 3. The Lioness and myself will be going live on Saturday, June 5th at 8 p.m. for our level 10 patrons to discuss the book and discuss the things that we learned and the things that we love about the book. So make sure y'all save that date. Make sure y'all go to Amazon or to a Black-owned bookstore and buy Revelations by Bevy Smith or buy the audiobook, listen to it, read it, because we will be discussing it on Saturday, June the 5th at 8 p.m. So make sure you're there, and you have to be a patron to be a part of this conversation. We'll be able to talk about the book. You can interact directly with myself and the Lioness, and we're going to have a good time.
So, and I'm not going to ruin anything for anyone, but for those of you who want to know if it's a good read, the Lioness is halfway there, and oh my God, can Bevy tell a story? And for those of you who are interested, this is an opportunity for those of us that are entrepreneurs, for those of us that are Black women that have had to overcome things. Honey, when I tell you, Beverly Smith has told quite a story, Miss Bevy, and I thank her. Thank you. One thing that's very exciting, really fast, shout out to her because she gave us a shout out on the computer, on Instagram. She was on Twitter. I'm sorry. She found out about our book club opportunity, and she actually said that she was so honored, and just to know that someone of that caliber is listening to us and to know how amazing her story is. And by the way, guys, if you do get the audiobook on Apple Books, she's narrating and she does a wonderful job. And so, but Bevy, if you're listening, I love you, I love you, I love you, and your journey has inspired me. And for those of you who are interested in getting a good read, this book is amazing.
Yeah, so again, the date for that book review, talk back, whatever y'all want to call it, will be Saturday, June the 5th at 8 p.m. exclusively for our level 3 patrons on our Patreon page. So make sure June 1, you're going over to Patreon, you donate the $10, and you will be there right in center for us to discuss this book as a community. You'll be able to have access to us, and it'll be like doing an interactive live show, taking it back to last summer when we used to do those. So shout out to Bevy for retweeting our tweet promoting our book club on Twitter. Shout out to her, and we're gonna have a good time. And shout out to our patrons that have been supporting us. Shout out to all of the fabulous opportunities that have been coming our way. We have a lot of fab stuff in the pipeline. We've been working hard over a year, and we are now starting to see the fruits of our labor. And it's about building community and sharing the wealth, honey, and creating community. So I'm here for it. Also, before I go into updates, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, rate us 5 stars, write a review. Also, if you feel a certain type of way about any episode that you listen to and you want to respond directly to us, make sure you send us emails at box number 5podcast@gmail.com. Our email is written in the show notes as well. Make sure sound off in the comments. We've given y'all some bad episodes, some interesting topics, had some interesting guests, and you can respond from an episode as late as last year or our first episodes. Any reactions that you had to any topic that we have talked about, feel free to write. Tell us how it made you feel. Tell us if you lived for it. Tell us if you didn't like it. Ask questions if you have them. This platform is for y'all, it's for the people, and we will read it on the show. So we need y'all to send in those letters and engage with us. So let's get into updates. Do you want to go first, sis?
I do. So update. I always feel like when I'm in this update moment that I have to like figure out what happened because so much happened. And there are moments where I am um confused sometimes in this moment. Like what because so much happens in the course of a life. But I will say this week has been okay. I have had people in my life going through various different things. So when I say I don't know what to say, it's because there's ups and there's downs and there's lefts and there's rights. But at the end of it, I'm still here and I'm okay. I'm holding it in the road. I don't really have a lot going on that is particularly vexing to me right now, and I guess that's good. But I'm standing in the gap in prayer for, and I'm consulting with and talking to a lot of people that are in various changes in their life right now. And so it's just powerful, I guess, to be in the place that I'm in, that people can see me as a safe haven and a place that people can come talk to. But on the flip side, it gives me a little bit of anxiety to be concerned about my friends and wondering if in the midst of all that the world is that they're going to be okay. And so it's bittersweet, but I am having a good week. What about you, sis?
Well, I'm doing better today. So last week I was really sick with sinus issues. The weather has been up and down. The past couple of days have been super hot, but it's just been up and down. So last week I was really sick, and it got really bad on Saturday just with my sinuses. And like as I've gotten older, my sinuses have just gotten worse and worse and worse. Just a lot of congestion, sore throat, coughing. Now I'm at the stage where I'm coughing up phlegm and my throat is irritated, but you can't, it's just something that you can't rush. You just have to let your body do what it's going to do. So that sucked. But I was feeling better enough on Sunday that I rented a car and I went to one of my friends' graduations parties. Shout out to my friend Armani. He is a guy that I worked with a couple of summers ago at a civil rights law firm. cishet Black man, young, Ivy League educated, just really nice person. And I actually got to see him when I was in New Orleans. We just happened to be in New Orleans at the same time, and we got breakfast together. And we've kept up with each other, kept in touch with each other over the years. Just because he was still in law school as I finished, and I was able to tell him about different processes and just connect him to different people. But it's just really nice being able to connect and celebrate him, and also just being friends with like a cishet Black man that is just cool and it's just regular, and that me being trans is not this big thing. But in my personal life, something that I don't want to necessarily say I want to work on this, but something that I do want to work on if not having more like close, intimate, like Black cishet men friends, just having them more as associates, just because I don't know, I just feel like it's a different side of myself that I need to develop as a person and now as a legal professional. And I don't know, it's just it's an experience that I want, that I'm open to. And something that is not romantic or sexual tension, somebody that is platonic, that is strictly a friend, and that we're genuinely invested in each other's success. And I'm so proud of him. He's such a good person. And me, I don't, especially when it comes to Black cishet men, you're not going to see me hanging around you or wanting to befriend you if you're just a bad person. And it's just nice to know that I'm connected or I'm in community with somebody that is a good person. He invited me to some of his friends out in the DC area, threw him a graduation party, and I went to the party and we had a good time. We ate. I met some of his friends that he worked with, and now it's also interesting because now with things starting to open back up, and COVID is still here, but the restrictions are going down. Now people are starting to be social again, and now I'm at this place in my professional life and my personal life where I'm in this profession, I'm in this industry, and now I have to start being social again in not in a virtual way, but in an actual person way. And part of that means me having to go to events, particularly illegal events, like Black legal events with cishet people, and I'm the only trans person in the room, and just trying to get out there and make new friends and make new contacts and build my confidence up. And it's an interesting space to be in, but I'm here for being outside because unfortunately, just being a lawyer is a social profession, and it's just something that you have to do. And I'm happy to say that I had a pleasant experience. I didn't. Usually, there's anxiety when you go to like a cishet space and you're the only trans person. Because I know my friend and I know he wouldn't put me in a situation like that, I kind of didn't have that hesitation. But the people that were there, it was like Black people, but it was like Black young professionals, and it wasn't like a nigga event where this was like hood people, and like the people were very professional, very respectful. And I was mainly interacting with the men, and the men were, I don't know if they caught tea or not, but they were interacting in a way with me where I don't think that they caught tea, but you know, you just gotta put yourself out there and just see what happens. And the best thing is you'll have a story to tell about it. Girl, are you there? You're muted.
Ooh, sorry, girl. I was listening to your narrative. What I find it provocative about what you said before we go any further is the idea that.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Box Number 512 Podcast, Grown Black Trans Women Talk.
And don't forget to become a patron on the Box Number 512 Patreon page, where we have all new hot exclusive content.
And also, don't forget to follow us on our social media, on our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook pages. And also, become a subscriber on our YouTube page. Until next time, bye.